Welcome to Lash Sisters Uncensored. In today's episode, we're going to be talking with Soojin. She is the inventor of the Illumino Lash System. And so we're going to be talking about with her about different systems and what you can do as a lash artist to really ask yourself the right questions when it comes to working with an LED system, right? Hi, Soojin. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks, Galina, for having me on.
Of course, of course. It's my pleasure. I'm super excited to have you on. Only because, as a brand, Thousand Lashes, we really value health. We really put a lot of emphasis on lash artist health, to prevent burnout, but also to be able to do this as a job long term, right? And so that's why I think it's so important to kind of focus on the health aspect angle of working with these systems in order to kind of educate lash artists so that they can make the right decisions for themselves, right? When it comes to using these systems.
Absolutely.
Tell me, Sujin, a little bit about your story and, how you got to where you are right now.
Okay. So I started out really loving nails and being passionate about getting my nails done as a client. And I realized that, hey, I think I can go to school and get a manicurist license. So back then I was in California and I went to school at night while I worked full time and I got my manicurist or nail technician license back starting in 2006. And then couple years later, I got my esthetician license. And then now I'm a cosmetologist. And back then, even a long time ago, seems like, but it hasn't been that long. I actually went and got certified to do lashes. Not that I got a certificate, but I went to a class where they showed you how to put lashes on each other. And then I learned how to put lashes on. Back then, it wasn't really what it is today. So my passion comes from doing services and really allowing myself to learn more about the whole beauty industry and encompassing as a service technician your body wear and tear, like you just talked about, the health is so important. And then having a client who didn't have the best retention, and I thought that I did the best that I could. I really tried different glues, different techniques, different lashes, cleansing, all the things, and nothing would stick and stay on her. And then that's just kind of how I invented the link gel system. And that's where the UV and LED didn't exist in the lash world. And I created a product that I thought would be safe for us lash artists using it. I was doing lashes like 6, 7 days a week, which was crazy. And my neck now has x-rays to show that, and why I love loops. And now I have a product I feel like it really lasts long time and is safe for the client.
Okay, that's amazing. So it really, like your invention really came out of a need and you were solving a problem first of all, for yourself, for your clients, but then eventually it translated to solving this problem for other lash artists, right?
Yeah, I mean, this client, I like her, but I didn't like her. I mean,
Uh-huh.
a lot to think, right? Because of the issues that I had with her complaints. And I was that type of lash artist that wanted to be people pleaser and give. So I actually would give her extra free 15-minute fills because I charged by the time to make her happy and satisfied. And then she kind of took advantage and started coming in for free little mini fills to fill her in into the next appointment. And then I realized this is not the client for me. And I was dreading her coming in the next morning. And I was going to tell her that I think that we need to part ways and you need to see somebody else because I'm not the right lash artist for you. And then that's
Okay.
how magically this idea came into my head. And that started back in 2012.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And tell me like how did you ensure that the system was safe? Because I mean, obviously you were worried about that, right? Like you were thinking about it. And so how did you what steps did you go through, like all the different certifications and things like that?
So I'm going to kind of rewind just a little bit to give you an idea of that I knew about LED wasn't because I was a manicurist doing UV gel nails. Back then, you guys have to remember about CND, shellac or OPI gel.
Yes.
That was a thing
Yes.
a long time ago. And for us manicurists, it was so popular. Like I remember waiting at Nail Pro Sacramento trade show for negligee was a color that was very popular and couldn't be on the shelves. And people like cut and they like fist fought for negligee. So I'm old school. I know like about LED lights from then, but even rewind even more, I had braces and the brackets were clear and they would actually cure or dry the glue with the light with the clear bracket on my teeth. And so that's when people think, oh, it's because you did nails, you thought of LED, but no, it was actually because of the braces and having the
Mm-hmm.
brackets and understanding how light worked. And when you wear brackets, when you wear braces, and they put the light on you, they make you wear the little like orange glasses. And then when
Mm-hmm.
we were doing nails, we were always told, don't look at the light, don't look at the light. So that kind of just always ingrained in my head, oh, how am I going to put a light on someone's eyes and be okay with that? And that's where, fast forward today, we had to go get certain safety reports. So it's third-party accredited reports from actual laboratories. Like we didn't test it in-house and say, check, 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 this is safe. So we have the Intertech IEC 62471 report, and we also have American National Standards Institute RP27 certificate report. So those are things where it measures in three ways: distance, time, and wavelength.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. And so that's what it does. Okay, interesting. And so for lash artists who've only used like traditional adhesives, what is actually happening chemically when we cure with LED versus like with air or humidity? Like what is actually happening?
Okay, great question. So mostly all UV LED lash adhesives on the market are still a derivative of cyanoacrylates, and these CAs are what is glue. Glue is glue, right? Crazy glue is cyanoacrylate based. If you guys know, nail glue is also cyanoacrylate based. Lash glue is CA cyanoacrylate based. But there's different grades and percentages and of CAs or cyano. And what LED or UV does is that it has a special photo initiator chemical, and it depends on the different photo initiator that you use in your formula. Photo in Latin is light. So it means photo initiate, meaning light activate. So LED UV glues need the special kind of light that's going to work with the glue that's going to harden, or we call it polymerize or cure the glue in just a few seconds. So imagine you're using like a special UV light, a flashlight to cure your nail gel, similar to if you're going to say, and I use nail analogy a lot because I'm a manicurist and you guys all probably have gel nails on your nails currently. If you put your hand in the nail lamp and it's made for that system, it's going to cure it in the right amount of time and the right amount of product that you put on your nails. If you use a different lamp, maybe the lamp is too weak and it's not able to cure, it's not able to dry your nail gel. So you might have lifting or peeling or bubbling, that kind of stuff. So that's what polymerizing means, is to harden and photo initiate under the light. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like how you explained it. It's like very, because I've tried Googling it before and then I just got too overwhelmed. But this sounds really clear and understandable for someone that, hasn't studied this extensively like yourself for years, right? Um, so are there like any long-term safety concerns about LED light exposure for both lash artists and clients? I guess those are the questions that most lash artists have, that I see a lot in the groups, in the Facebook groups, and just in general, like when we speak to lash artists, that's what their concerns are.
Um, I'm gonna, because I have my little thing pulled up here, so I could just make sure I'm looking at it. So going back into safety reports, especially the IEC 62471, that report is a global standard report on photobiological risk. So what they do is they risk group category 0, 1, 2, 3. And so, example, risk group 0 is like right now I'm looking at my laptop and I'm talking to you, or I pick up my cell phone and I look at the screen, or I look at my LED TV in my room. That's a risk group 0. But when you get into different risk groups, depending on the hazard of the light, you're actually causing damage to your eyes. And so that eye exposure is where we have risk groups. So it kind of tells you how strong of a risk group is that light, and then how long can you be under that risk group in that light. So that's kind of a sense of example is going back to nails, because again, I'm a manicurist. Um, a nail gel lamp is risk group 2. And if you have the chart that I'm looking at currently, and this is something you guys can all download because it's free information, Google it, ChatGPT it. Risk group 2 is moderate risk. So there's a time limit value, which is called TLV. And for risk group 2 is 0.25 to 100 seconds exposure. So a lot of people don't realize many of the lights that are on the market are currently risk group 2. So they should be using it with the TLV, time limit value, up to 100 seconds on their client.
100 seconds. Okay. And how does that translate? Like, can you explain, like, let's say you're doing one client. What's 100 seconds? That's a minute?
Mm, 100, well, there's 60 seconds in a minute, right?
60 seconds in a minute. That's right. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. See, now you're like
so
ding ding, ding. You get it.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, so run us through that again. So you let's
Okay.
say you're doing a client.
You're doing a client and you turn on the dang light and then you have it on like this, one snap of a finger. That might be 0.25 of a second.
Okay.
Okay, fine. The lowest TLV, time limit value you can have for risk group 2. If you have it on where you put your foot down on that pedal and you go 1,000, 1,000, you lift off, that's 2 seconds. Let's say you do 2 seconds per 50 eyelash extensions. You've already hit 100 seconds.
Okay.
So
But
that
now
means
your
that you,
limit is 1,000, right? So
oh,
that
it's
means
100. It's a
oh, the limit
100.
it's 100. Okay. So
So you've
you've
reached your
put on
limit.
50 lash extensions, and then you've already outdone your limit.
You've maxed your time limit value of 100 seconds for risk group 2. And
Okay.
also, the other thing about risk groups is kind of crazy is that people don't realize that when you're using these lights, the closer you have it to the eyelid, so even if the eyelid's covered and it's closer, you're exposing more risk group. So as you get centimeters, because risk groups in measured IEC is measured by 20 centimeters, that's the standard. And I really don't see a lot of people measuring their lights on social media and showing that they're curing it in less than 2 seconds. But anyhow, if you have the light at 20 seconds, I mean 20 centimeters, and you have the light on at 2 seconds, maybe you're okay if you can do it in 50 attachments. But as you get closer, the distance to the eyelid, you actually jump up to risk group 3. Literally within 1 centimeter, it depending on the safety reports that I've looked at, from 19 centimeters to 20 centimeters, it already goes to risk group 3. And risk group 3 is the highest risk group, and the TLV, the time limit value, is less than 0.25 of a second.
So essentially it's like you can't yeah. Okay, I got it. Huh, very interesting. So, huh.
I know it's complicated.
Yeah,
And that's
it
the
is
thing.
very complicated. And is
There's
that
so many
for the lash
LV.
artist? Is that for the lash artist or is that for the client? Who is the
That's
risk factor
that's the client, the guidance on risk group exposure for clients because they're the
for
ones who
clients?
have it on their eyelid. Yeah.
Right.
And
But
so
what
like
about for
let's
the lash artist?
everyone should be wearing the UV protective goggles or
Okay.
little glasses, and they should be rated specifically and make sure it's really a certified. I don't know if you guys know this story about solar. Some people bought solar glasses to look at the eclipse,
Yeah.
and they were fake, and so they
Oh my
burned their
goodness.
corneas or retinas or whatever. So even though they sell them on, something.com, just because it says that it's certified, but it wasn't really certified, they actually got like irreversible macular damage to their eyes. So yeah, things like that will happen. But I mean, I'm not saying you're looking at the sun with this, right? That's not it. But I'm
Hmm.
just saying, just there's a risk involved when you're working with a product and supposedly it's certified, quote unquote.
Okay. Interesting. And so what are like, okay, so what are if a lash artist is wanting to work with a UV system? What are some like certifications that they need? Like, do they need to look, what reports do they need to look at? Is it the FDA? Is it the CO? I know you mentioned ISO. What else is it that they need like as a report?
So I think that's really a good question is really asking your manufacturers for safety reports, and specifically most companies will have to give you the IEC 62471 because it's a safety global life standard report. But the problem is some companies are giving you a report from Asian country, and the safety report might not be a really real report, if that makes sense. The laboratory numbers aren't correct, but the IEC 62471, even here in the United States, there's a company that's sharing a safety report, and it's not even a third party accredited laboratory. So I guess it's good to ask for the reports, but you guys have to really do your homework and, investigate and do your due diligence to make sure these reports are legitimate. That's the report I would look at first and
Okay.
foremost. And now, looking at the report, you're going to be able to see what their numbers say and what risk group it's in. And then that way you can understand how to use the light safely.
Okay. Oh, interesting. And are there any regulations in the US or maybe in California specifically that like cover LED lash systems?
Unfortunately, there isn't. Our state board of
Hmm.
cosmetology and barbering, they don't really follow LED yet, even for nail gel lamps, which is quite scary. They
Hmm.
obviously they know what's going on. I've had conversations with some of the people, but you guys, even like you can say that this glue and Galina, you know what's up because we know a lot of products come from China. They're saying it's MOCRA accredited, right? MOCRA is the Modernization of Cosmetic Regulation Act, and it's a new law that FDA is regulating cosmetics.
That's
And
right.
we don't even know if this product is really MOCRA. It's really
Yeah.
coming from Okra, right?
Yeah.
So that's a thing. I mean, unfortunately, and even is State Board going to look at that? Not really. So that's why these brands don't give a crap and they're just selling stuff, right? Because no one's checking, unfortunately.
So
But yeah.
nobody checks. And so it's like so as a lash artist, you have to be the one to kind of be like, okay, well, do I use this on my like on my clients? Do I not? Like what you're the one that kind of has to do your due diligence and really investigate and see if this makes sense, right?
Yeah, I don't like wasting my money and getting scammed. That's why I'm always like extra about things and asking questions. And I think a lot of people in this profession have started to unfortunately not really look and ask the right questions. And you guys are probably understanding the gut instinct because we as women, we have intuition and we probably smell some fishy smell, but we just don't really look, investigate. And here's how I look at it is we have to protect our business. We have to protect our kids or our home or whatever it is, your assets, your car. And as a business owner, we take on so much more liability. And what people don't understand is that the risk that you take when you're using certain products, your client can sue you. And so maybe the state board is not going to really help you with the safety reports and the MOCRA reports and all those things, but you have to protect yourself, right? As a professional, because if your ass gets sued, sorry, Galina, you're in trouble. It's not, anything that you can do. You have to protect yourself. Insurance is really important for having a business, and it could be really affordable. It could be like under $150 a year for estheticians, aesthetic services, scope of practice. Some even insurance companies cover microneedling, PMU. But there was a certain insurance company that stopped covering eyelash extensions with LEDs. And it's probably the largest insurance company that the US estheticians know about because they're at all the trade shows as well. And it's unfortunate because back in 2019 till 2024, they covered LED lashes. And now they no
Mm.
longer cover due to the influx of loss claims from other devices, not ours, because I already asked them, but they're ruining it for us. But yeah, you guys need to ask these right questions, right? Ask those questions and really investigate what's best for your business and how are you going to protect yourself and your clients.
Oh, okay, interesting. Do you find that the LED systems reduce or allergic reactions? Is that true or?
I'd never say 100% because that would be like selling snake oil. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Even like non-CA glues, people I've heard stories where they're like, oh, it doesn't have cyanacrylate, so it's allergy free. And then they go and get their lashes done by that non-cyano glue and it still caused the reaction. So nothing is
Yeah.
100%. Everyone has an allergy that maybe something else is allergic to that this person isn't allergic to, but it does reduce the vapors or AKA fumes from the curing of the glue. So imagine like if you're the type of client, I myself, I'm like that. I tear up during my eyelash extension services with regular glue quite a bit, and I can't help it. I don't even know. I don't feel it coming out, but I just remember my eyes would be wet. And with UV LED glues, because you're able to dry it faster with light, you're controlling the speed and the bond of a quick cure, you have less red eyes, less irritation. So I feel like it does help some people who've had allergies. Now, mind you, all glues are different too, right? So it depends on the formula. It depends on how, close the lash artist gets to the skin. There's so many variables, but yes, it can help reduce some allergic reactions. And I've seen that and heard really great stories about that. So it depends on the person.
Okay,
We actually
interesting.
have, actually, this is kind of a cool story. I'm not going to try to make you sell my product. You can take this off. But this lady, dude, she came to IBS, International Beauty Show in Las Vegas, with a freaking EpiPen. And
Really?
she had her EpiPen in her purse. And what she did was she wanted to get eyelashes from us because she knew that, heard about our product. So she came in seeking service. Obviously, anyone who gets their services done by us, they have to sign a client consent form and all the good stuff to, protect yourself. And she actually told us, and I have it on film. We haven't posted it yet because that's the thing. Like you're asking the right question is I don't want to tell everyone to buy our glue because it's allergy free because that would be a lie. But she put so she got a reaction from regular glue. She had to go to the hospital. She couldn't breathe. She got two injections in each leg. Hi. Yeah, so it's two EpiPen injections. That's four total. And I asked her again just to make sure. And so I was like, oh my God, this lady's getting link gel lashes. Did you bring your EpiPen? And luckily, knocking on wood, she didn't react with link gel. She came back the next day to the show to show us that her eyelashes were okay and she wanted more eyelashes on. So we don't do a full set with people with that type of allergy. We want to do a sample set, which is a patch test, not touching the skin, applying some lashes on to test if she's going to react and use an EpiPen. I know that sounds
Hmm.
crazy, but yeah.
Yeah,
And then the
that
third
sounds
day,
crazy.
too, because she
Yeah.
came day one, day two. We saw her day three. She was alive, guys.
She was, oh my goodness. Oh my
I
gosh.
know it's funny, but it's not funny. But yeah,
Yeah,
some
totally.
people love lashes.
Some people like they're willing to risk their life to get lash extensions.
Literally.
Um, yeah, totally. So let's say like a lash artist wants to transition to LED system, to a UV or LED system. Like what are some things that they should ask themselves? Like what are the right questions for them to ask themselves and
Let,
ask their
let me
manufacturer?
Let me rewind a little bit and kind of distinguish something about LED and UV because I hear this misinterpreted many times, and I want to make sure people kind of let's clear the air. When people
What's
say
the
it's
difference?
yeah, they're like it's safe, it's LED, it's not UV, and I'm like BS. So LED stands for light emitting diode. And LED can be a visible light, meaning it's above 400 nanometers, or it could be below 400 nanometers, which is still UV, ultraviolet light. And so LED is interchangeable. You can have a house LED light bulb, and it might not be UV, but if it's an LED that's curing glue, it's probably LED has UV because photo initiation needs UV power to cure the glue. And depending again on the photo initiator chemical compound, it needs more UV or less UV. Just like nail gel systems, they have different lights and different irradiance, which is the power to cure the nail gel. So that's why I tell people don't mix and match glues with the system because you don't know if it's able to cure that glue with that type of power or
Mm-hmm.
UV. So yeah, let me rewind about the LED and UVs. Let's like break that down. So
Yeah,
it's
go ahead, go ahead.
LED. LED is not always safe, right? Just because it's an LED doesn't mean that you should be pointing it in people's eyes and saying that it's not UV. That's a lie. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, the other question that I would say is if they really do share their safety reports, you guys really need to look at it and really compare the safety report numbers to make sure that it's actually correct. I know that sounds crazy and technical because you're not Urkel nerd like me. I didn't know either. But honest to God, if you want to go ahead and ask us for these safety reports from us, we share it freely. We don't charge you money. We don't ask you for a social security number like some other companies. And you can look at Intertech, which is an American third-party accredited lab, look at our chart of numbers and compare our numbers to their numbers. So that will help you understand what it looks like because unfortunately, some of their numbers are lower than our numbers, but their light's more powerful and more brighter and more stronger than our light, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Two,
that does
two
make
plus
sense.
two, 2 plus 2 is not one,
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what should they, so that you're saying that they should compare to your numbers as a baseline and kind of see if the numbers match. But how would they even know that the report is real or it's not real? Because like, unfortunately, the way it is in overseas is like, they'll give you whatever report you want. They just want you to purchase the product from them.
Unfortunately, that's the problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a solution to that question. But that's the only way. Look, I didn't want to pay thousands of dollars for another report. So I got the ANSI report first because that was what I was told. We're Americans and we're an American company, and I want a CYA. I don't want to get sued. And when I found
Wait,
out,
wait. What's a CYA?
cover your ass.
Oh, okay.
So like I wanted to make sure that, as an American company, you can easily get sued and, like everything's gone. So I wanted to make sure that we were covered and protected. And so I found out from a consultant that American National Standards Institute is the report you should get. The doctor that tested it didn't test it just because it was at 20 centimeters. They tested ours at 1.2 centimeters. So they didn't test it to a photobiological standard of IEC where it's at 20 centimeters, and they test it as okay, it's a light on the ceiling, and how much is it going to affect your eyes? They actually tested it the same standards of medical and laser devices, and the one of the doctors, a PhD physicist on there, you can actually Google his name and you can see he was the laser guy of the army for like over 20 years, the US. And but he's from like Europe. And when I paid for that report, before I paid for it, you know what they said? Well, the other doctor said, he goes, Soojin, if you find out that your device is unsafe, you will be promising that you will never sell this device because it is, unsafe and what you're doing is high risk. And I was like, yeah, I know. So they're like, okay, you pay us and then we'll do the test. So that's how it worked. And then it took actually 9 months. So I felt like it was like giving birth. And
Okay.
after I got the report and I saw the numbers, I didn't know how to read it. So I had to ask them, can you show me how to read this report? And so they kind of broke it down for me. And then all of a sudden, several years later, not all of a sudden, there's these other reports floating around called IEC 6471. And so I was like, damn, I have to pay for another report. And then when I looked into their reports are at 20 centimeters. So because I knew that mine was safe at 1.2 centimeters, I was like, God, I don't want to pay, tens of thousands of dollars to get this other report. But because I saw the report numbers and they're all different, you guys, and they're meaning like it looks like the same light foot pedal, but the numbers were all different. And I was like, that don't make no sense because those LEDs all look kind of the same. And so that's why I was like, fine, I'll pay and I'll get the IEC report. And I wanted to get it from like the best trusted third party laboratory. So I went for Intertech, which is really pricey and amazing. And it was such a process. Turned in the device or mailed out the device, and it took a few weeks, but their report is very accurate and they should tell you how they measure it and how they calibrate their equipment, all of the things. And that was measured at 20 centimeters, which isn't really realistic for eyelash extensions. And so that's why I kind of share that. If you guys do look at reports, at least now you know what it looks like and what it should kind of look like. I don't know if that's real or if that's factual. That's how I look at it. And unfortunately, there's nobody you can say, hello, eyelash extension police. Like you can't knock on the police door and be like, they're breaking the law. You just have to CYA your own business and yourselves.
I love that CYA. CYA. I use that.
My husband always says DTA too. DTA,
What's that?
DTA. Because I always I do tell, don't tell anyone, but
Oh, the
I'm a, yeah,
DTA.
yeah.
I love that. And then what about like if lash artists want to know like the recommended curing time and intensity? Like I'm assuming that would be on the report too, or would that be on the manufacturer's instructions? Like where would that be?
That's a great question. And the issue with that is most systems weren't made to work with the glue. The glue just is made because it's industrial UV glue. Most likely it's a glass glue. It's not cosmetic grade. And they need high intensity, meaning high power of brightness, irradiance, and they need a low UV output in order for it to cure. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know because I can't speak for these other manufacturers, but I don't know where they're getting their glue. I don't understand it. Like some companies have like four formulas, and I'm like, you know, why do you need four formulas? But what I'm wondering is the instructions aren't really accurate, where they don't really explain how the lamp works with the glue in a system. Does that make sense? Like the test for IEC is only for how it's going to radiate on your eyes. It's not how long it's going to cure on your eyes, right? And
Okay.
then the glues, the SDSs, and that's another thing. There's nobody really fact checking SDSs, so people could omit information or add information. Um, SDSs only give you chemical composition and like maybe like I studied on a rat or a mice, but they don't really give you that. And then so then it's up to the brand to give you education and to properly show you or tell you or have written instructions on how to use their product.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And they're like, and then for lash artists, like I know we spoke about safety for the client, but what about for the lash artist? Let's say the device is not safe for the client. Let's say like we spoke about earlier. What about for the lash artist? How is it like, okay, yes, if even if the lash artist is wearing all the protective equipment and the everything, is it safe for the lash artist if it's not safe for the client?
I think it's safer for the lash artist than the client. But you know what? Most lash artists are the client. Right? Like, I don't have
Yeah.
eyelashes on right now, but I hope to God I can get them on before LashCon. But I'm not going to be under those other lights. But just saying, right? Most of us lash artists, now that we know what it's like to be under the light, we're probably going to start to think about that more and wonder if this is safe for our eyes if we're under this light. But for lash artists doing extensions, if you're following the precautions, like I said, wear the goggles, I think you'd be okay because
Okay.
it's not reflecting that much off of the face and into your eyes. Other than actually, so sorry, I just thought of something, and I have it in the other room. One of my students bought the fake link gel device from overseas, and it has the gooseneck flexible hose, and it turns on with the touch sensor. It's so
Mm-hmm.
crazy. This light, it has an LED that's so much brighter and it doesn't have what we call as a shroud. So something that kind of blocks the light from the lash artist's eyes. So, and I've also seen other handheld devices where they're literally putting it on their attachment tweezer and the LED is exposed. And, I know us, we look at where we're putting it on and we kind of hold the light and we look at making sure that the glue's there and it's doing its thing, right? And so that's my concern. You're right. If we don't want to be looking directly at the LED and or if it's not protecting our eyes. You get what I mean? Like I don't see a lot of people wearing the goggles and then the LED is not protecting, it's not blocked. So I think that's a feature that's really not safe.
Yeah. And then the other thing, like, yeah, I can totally agree with you. We actually, one of our manufacturers that we get glues from, they sent us a sample of one of those LED lights that you're talking about with the gooseneck, and they're like, "Oh, this is selling so well right now. You should really add this to your store because you're gonna make a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera." And then I mean, they just sent it for free. I didn't even ask for it. But then when we received it, we just kind of like played around with it. I turned it on and literally like I put my hand underneath it and my hand was like warm just from that light, like it was warm. It was very the amount of light that there was seemed very, very strong. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like this seems extremely, extremely strong. And obviously, they didn't have any ability to tell me about any kind of safety report. So needless to say, that that light is now getting used to cure nails, just for like when I do the gel X or whatever on myself, I'll use it
Good.
for that.
Well, that you brought up a good point, Galina, is unfortunately there have been a lot of copycat devices out coming from Asia, and we're definitely going to go after all of them. But what's occurring is they don't really care about what LED they're using. They don't care what glue they're selling. They just want to make a quick buck off of you. And that's what they're trying to do right now. And it's just really unfortunate because that's what I don't want is the industry to take shortcuts and go backwards. And then again, skateboard, because I don't know. I had this conversation with you before, but I actually know and have heard stories of customers having corneal burns to their eyes from the systems. And with over time, people using it and getting lashes and doing it improperly or whatever accidents do happen, I get it. I don't want to be blacklisted or black blanket banned from our system because everyone thinks our system's their system. And I put so much love and time and effort into building our product the way that it is. And it makes me really sad to hear and see that people are using these products and really because it's cheaper, but they're not really seeing the risk that's involved for themselves as well as for their clients. And I really care, so I don't want to say like just because you don't care you're doing this, but I understand that it's financial, but it's still not worth it. You know what I mean? Like your eyes or your client's eyes, it's you're only two eyeballs unless you want to get was it eyeball transplant surgery, which now exists. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And the thing is, like, it's also about integrity, right? Like, so yes, I mean, could we have made a little bit, like capitalized on this trend? Absolutely. But in terms of like the integrity, like can I for sure say that whatever the supplier was sending me and that it was safe? Like absolutely not. I can't, and I can't verify it, really. So in a sense, like I don't know, yeah, I would not risk it for now. Mind you, who knows? What do you think is going to be the future in like a few years for these systems? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously I'm gonna be more I don't know the word. Um hopeful and positive
Mm-hmm.
that seeing the trend with for me because I'm old school nail tech manicurist. I used to only get nail polish because that's really was what it was, or it was non-soak off gels or acrylics, right? There was no soak off UV nail gel lamp style, right? And then seeing that come to fruition and the miracle of being able to wear gel polish and it lasts so much longer and the time is so much shorter because you don't have to wait for it to dry. I do see that it's not a trend. It's not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I think it's really long term, the growth towards technology and adapting technology and innovation, and that the lash industry is going to grow and they're actually going to start to get smart about what they're using. I hope. I hope. I mean, that's just my positive thought. But yeah, that's where I think it's not going away. I think it's going to be here to stay and it's going to explode and scale faster.
Yeah, and I think that's great. You know, I'm all about efficiency, and I think it's great to work smarter, not harder, and innovate. But as long as it doesn't come at the expense of your health and your client's health, right? Because that's one thing you can't get back, unfortunately. Um, is there any advice that you would give to lash artists to protect their own health and their clients' lash health when using different devices?
I think one thing I noticed a lot of people don't really realize is it's kind of like, how the bad word right now is TPO, but they don't really look at how the study was done and how it does damage the rabbits, but that's a like high dosage. So that's a little extreme. But I think also knowing the actual reporting or the facts of information and really fact checking what you're hearing is like what I'm saying. I want you guys to go and fact check me. I don't want you to say, I heard this from her or I saw it on TikTok and it's true. I want you to be smarter and I want you to understand that you can't believe everything people tell you or sell you. You have to really make sure you're doing your due diligence. And like with that, with lash artists, I think that with glues especially, they don't realize that what they're using could actually be exposing their respiratory, to something really bad in their lungs. And that's another topic. But I do notice a lot of lash artists would keep old glue next to them on the tile and put on another glue. That was something I teach my students is when you're done with that glue, throw away that glue in a closed, covered waste receptacle. And then, in I think in state board for nails, it has to be a metal trash can. And then when you are, dispensing a new glue, you only have that glue out for, let's say, 20, 30 minutes. And then you again dispense that glue. A lot of people just keep glue, 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 glue. And then they start to have allergic reactions, which I've actually heard stories of people being allergic to applying eyelash extensions even. They're like their chest and their arms are all like red and hived up. And they have to like wear a mask, the big mask, not the regular surgeon mask, but like the respiratory mask, and have an Aerovex extraction because that's how deathly allergic they are to the fumes or vapors of the glue. So keeping your area clean and fume free or vapor free was really great. Having open circulation or a fan or something, that kind of things would make a difference instead of working in a dungeon because that's what I used to do too. It's cold, so I'm going to close the door and turn on the heater and it's all nice and cozy, but you're just breathing in glue for 8 hours a day. So just keep those things in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely the goggles, right? Like the protective goggles.
I never see anyone wear those. I tell people to
No?
wear, not for our light, actually. Blah, blah. You don't have to wear it for ours. I'm not trying to sell my product, but I am. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying the difference is, so people ask me, do you have to wear goggles on your glasses, protective glasses on yours? No. And then the other one is, how come you don't cover the eyelids? Because on our report actually said that you don't have to. On our ANSI report, not the IEC, because they tested it for eyelash extensions. And on the ANSI report, they actually said it's only there if you want the client to remind them to keep their eyes closed, right? Because sometimes when you put something on their eyelid, it helps them remain closed and don't open. But the other systems, I'm not too sure, but I would follow the directions. And at least 20 centimeters away, which is 7.87 inches. I know you guys are like, why are we talking about centimeters? Because that's what the global standard is. It's at 20 cm, but in inches, it's 7.87 inches, which is kind of far. You know what I mean? Like if you put the light up, you're like, damn, I can't cure it that quickly. Also, I forgot one more thing. Those safety reports, some of them are like they're all report cards. Some report cards are fake where they go PF, which is fail, pass, fail, pass. Those aren't real. They're not third party accredited. Um, the other thing is that when you're looking at the numbers, you can actually chat GPT it, which is awesome. You could upload it to ChatGPT and then you can upload our report because I'm not mad about that. And then say, find the erroneous or prompt it whatever you want to say. Is this a real report? Blah, 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 blah. So I think those are things that you can do without being like, I don't know how to read a report. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And just take someone's word for it. The thing is, these reports are very complex. Like even when I hear you talking about it, and I have a medical background, for me, it's just like, whoo, this is complex. There's physics involved. And it just seems really complex. So I can imagine for any average lash artist, looking at it can be really, really overwhelming. So, and then that's what I do too. All the now with ChatGPT is that you could just literally screenshot anything and be like, hey, can you explain this to me? I don't get it.
I mean, I'm dumb. I'm literally, I feel like I can admit this because the more you know, the more you don't know, right?
Yeah,
And so I really don't know a lot, and I'm always constantly learning, and I'm always ChatGPTing as well. And I feel that we are getting smarter because we can use that technology to help us get smarter and ask those right questions. And I agree with you 100%. Those technical reports are really difficult, but sometimes when you start to look at them and you start to ask the right questions and you start ChatGPTing, you're like, oh my God, that makes sense. And then that way, then you actually start to learn what to look for. Like you'll start to know what watts over meter square means. You can ask, what is, watts over meter square in this report? And be like, oh, that's what it is. It's the output, the power, of the brightness. And so those things will really help you kind of start to see like what's their watts over meter square say. Oh, let me see this report, their watts over meter square. You know what I mean? Like that's what you got to do. Or
exactly, exactly. And now we're so lucky, like we have this technology at our fingertips. We could just literally, like, fine, if you can't understand it, just tell ChatGPT, tell me, explain it to me in like layman's terms, like explain it in a very simple way, and it will explain it to you, and then at least you will understand what it is.
yeah, I mean, honestly, there's actually a real report from China. I'm saying real as in they actually admit that they're risk group two, but it's actually risk group three as well, depending on which one you're using. And she gave it to me, the person who owns the company, and I was like, dang. So I put the prompt in ChatGPT. I was like, tell me, I want to buy this light and use it on my lash clients. I'm a lash artist. Tell me how I can use this to make it so it's safe for risk group, this exposure. And then it tells you everything, and you're like, oh shoot, TLV, time limit value. So I can only use this for 50 attachments at 1 second or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool that you could use ChatGPT or Google things to, find this information. Because like I told
Ye-
you, risk groups are also public information. You'll know what risk groups are.
Okay, that's amazing. So I guess I don't have any other questions. I don't know if there's anything else you want to mention, maybe about LashCon. I know we're gonna see you at LashCon this year, and you have a special demo, right? You have a special talk.
Yeah, we got a little demo room spot on Sunday afternoon. I think it was like 12 or 12:15 on the trade show floor. So please, you guys come. Just ask questions. I'm actually gonna bring my safety report binder. So if you're like, I don't want to ask her, I'm embarrassed, I don't know how to ask. Please ask because I was like shy too, and I didn't want to bother people and ask questions. I will show you my reports. I will show you how to read reports because it's so important, and I want people to understand this. It's really about education and getting to know you guys on the like call it lash artist level because I'm not doing lashes as much, but I understand. Believe me. I still love lashes and I apply lashes on some clients and I just love to talk lashes.
I
So it'd be
know,
nice
I know.
to like,
I could
connect.
I like when I'm not I'm always thinking about lashes and how to improve and how to make it better. I'm like obsessed. So I totally get where you're coming from. Uh, but and then yeah, and then it's like it's really I think that we need to be more educated as a group, right? Also like just raising the standard of even if let's say you do use a certain light, like if your clients ask you questions like, okay, what's the safety here, how do you make sure it's safe, you're going to be able to explain it to them, you're going to be able to explain it to your clients and show them the report also, right? So all of these things really really make a difference at the end of the day.
You
And
know
then
what
the other
else?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say it's something I just thought was kind of funny was I used to think that I was smart, but I feel dumb, like I told you, is that I used to think because I was in school and I'm like, I know what a glycolic does. I know what a lactic does. Because those are the basics, right? When we learn as estheticians how it works on chemical, resurfacing and peels and such. And I would be like giving a facial, being like, this is a glycolic and it will do this to your dermis and this, and lactic will do this, right? And clients love it. They eat it up because they're like, oh
They
my
love
gosh,
it.
she knows
She
her
knows what
shit.
she's doing. She knows her
Yeah,
shit.
but
Exactly.
I didn't really know much, but I just felt like I wanted to share what I knew because I felt smart or I felt like I knew what I was using. But that's the same thing goes for LED lash artists. I want you guys to be like, this is a LED that has this type of watts over meter square. And this is what, like I want that for us because I feel like that's why clients love us is they trust us and they come to us with skill and the knowledge and the power and the experience that we have. And that's what empowers us as a professional in our profession. So I want to spread that. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Totally, totally. So, okay, awesome. So I'll come by, we'll see you at LashCon. I'll come by and say hello, definitely. And then, yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to find Soojin at, do you want to tell them your Instagram and where they can find you?
Yeah, Instagram is at Illumino Extensions, and then TikTok is at Illumino Lashes, and Facebook is Illumino Lashes, and
Oh,
illuminolashes.com. Thank you.
okay. Awesome, awesome. And you're in Vegas, right? You're in Nevada?
Yes, we moved to Las Vegas.
Okay, nice. All right, perfect. So I will see you at LashCon and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.